You're listening to CFRN, the Christian Financial Radio Network.
Good afternoon, traders, and welcome back to the CFRN E-Mini Futures Cast. This is the daily broadcast of Indeterminate Length, where we discuss all things E-Mini, along with some really big ideas on the finer points of trading gold, bonds, crude, sugar, the euro. Joining us today, Mr. Michael Borg. From our trading desk in Chicago, Mr. Burton Schlichter. Now, to get things started, let's go to our host and founder in Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Here's Dwayne.
Good afternoon. Welcome back. Today is Thursday, 19th day of May, 2022. Thanks so much for joining us, whoever you are, wherever you are. We're just glad to have you right here, right now. We do 2 live broadcasts every day. The first one starts at 9:30 a.m. Eastern. That's a private broadcast for members only and those taking our 1-week free trial. Later in the show, Michael will tell you how you can take that free trial if you've never taken it. Our second live broadcast is at 12 noon Eastern every trading day, and there's 2 ways to join the show. The best way is to go to our homepage at cfrn.net. On the right-hand side of the page, click the big microphone, follow the instructions. You'll be registered in about 30 seconds, and that will give you one-click access to the show each and every day. Now, the reason that's the best way to join is because it does give you access to the question box so that you can ask questions and be a part of the discussion. Of course, now the way that works is you get an email right before the show starts, and when you're ready to join the show, you just click the link in the email and it automatically logs you in. But there will be days you're away from the office, away from the desktop, maybe this time of year on vacation, but you still want to join the show. Piece of cake. Grab any internet connected device and point it to youtube.com/CFRN. Not only do we broadcast live each and every day on our YouTube channel, we also archive each and every daily show. Currently, we have over 2,000 daily live broadcasts archived for your educational and viewing pleasure. And it's really amazing if you watch today's show and then you scroll back 6 weeks or 6 months or a year or 2 years. Nothing's changed. If it's not broke, don't fix it. We're using the same indicators, the same strategy, the same logic, the same underlying principles. Instead of chasing the next shiny thing that comes down the pike on the internet that guarantees you trading success, forget the parlor tricks, forget the circus acts. Let us teach you how to trade. With that said, let's open with a word of prayer. Today we're going to talk about praying for true love. What is true love? True love is unconditional love. It's like the mother who has a son on death row, and he's guilty, but she loves him no less than the first time she cradled him in her arms. That's unconditional love. It requires nothing in return. And that's how God loves us, unconditionally. Whether we're president or on parole or on death row, His love for us never fails. 1 John 4:8 says, "The one who does not love does not know God, for God is love." God's love for you and I is passionate, pure, beyond anything we've ever experienced, because He accepts us as we are. We don't have to clean up, straighten up, stop drinking, stop smoking. No. He accepts us as we are. And then once we have the Holy Spirit indwelling within us, we clean up from the inside out. And unfortunately, too many churches today, and for many years, have that backwards, that you got to clean up first before you can be accepted. That's not how God does it. And I want to do it the way He does it. Our good, our sins, our past, and our flaws are all bare before God's eyes. Yet being the perfect gentleman and father He is, He washes, changes, teaches, and grows us tenderly. He reminds us of our worth and beauty as His sons and daughters. He wants to forgive, bless, and take care of us. He loves us with unconditional agape love. It's the Greek word for unconditional, agape. Good news, His love never fails. That's 1 Corinthians 13:8. We can love like that too. Not in our own strength or willpower, but by the power of the Holy Spirit, perfecting God's love in our hearts. 1 John 4:12. The deeper we know God and His arduous, purposeful love for us and for others, the easier we can love others as an act of loving obedience to God. Remember, He told us to love our enemies. That's tough sometimes, right? But it's what He told us to do. 1 John 4:20 tells it like this. If someone says, I love God, yet hates his brother, he is a liar. For the one who does not love his brother, whom he has seen, cannot love God, who he has not seen. Of course, how can we defy God's command to love the people He has placed in our lives and still claim to love Him? Everyone in your life is placed there by God's grand design. The people you like, the people that grate on your nerves, the people you really don't like. And you know, it's possible to love someone with agape love and still not like them because of the way they act, the things they do. So don't get love and like confused. Our obedience to God's Word comes from our love and reverence for Him who gave His all so we could keep on giving and loving like He has done for us. It is only when we love God first and foremost that we can reach our full potential in loving others as friends, sisters, daughters, wives, mothers, husbands. As we grow in our love for God and in our knowledge of His love, we begin to change. We begin to see and love others differently. In reality, true love happens when the stars don't align, sparks dim, and butterflies fly away. Love, true love, happens when we sacrifice, knowing we'll get nothing in return. We are patient, kind, never envious or boastful, modeling 1 Corinthians 13 in our hearts and with our behavior without expecting payback or accolade. We lay down our lives in love. Today's key verse, 1 John 4:8 says, The one who does not love does not know God, for God is love. I hope you find true love, unconditional love. I hope you and I grow so close to God that we naturally begin to love from a pure heart and a good conscience and a sincere faith. 1 Timothy 1:5. May you and I so overflow with God's love that it runs up and over onto everyone we meet. When they talk about my cup runneth over, you may have been in positions in your life where God's favor rained down on you so hard that people came to stand beside you just to catch some of the overflow, the favor that God has shown on your life. I know I've experienced that over the many years where I had different companies and many employees. It wasn't just because I could sign their paycheck or pay their rent or catch them up on their electric bill. But they knew God's favor was on my life. And they just wanted to be around me so that maybe some of that favor would spill over on them. God's love never fails. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, thank you for loving me long before I ever loved you. Affirm your love to me so that I may know it well and pour it out on all those around me. You are good and your love is perfect. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. And everybody said amen. All right, happy Thursday. I hope it is a happy Thursday for you, whoever you are, wherever you are. Let me give you the numbers from around the world. We'll get into the charts in a little while. After I give you the numbers from around the world, Michael will come and give us a recap of the live training room. Then we'll look at some headlines, and then we'll go to the charts and walk through each and every market and look at what happened since the alerts, the CTAs, came out last night. Let's start here in the U.S. with the cash markets, or the indices as they're called. Currently the Dow is down 128 points. The NASDAQ is up 121 points, which is a little over 1%, but let us not forget that yesterday it was down over 5%. S&P 500 is up 6 points. The Russell 2000 is up 16 points, and for the Russell, that's almost 1%. In the commodity basket, crude oil up 51 cents, trading 110.10 last. Gold up $25.80. Go gold, trading 18.4170 last. That's a gain of almost 1.5%. And silver up 33 cents, trading 21.88 last. That's a gain of 1.5%. In the Asian markets at the close, Nikkei dropped 508 points. That's almost 2%. The Shanghai did add 10 points, but the Hang Seng fell 523 points. That's over 2.5%. In the European markets at the close, FTSE down 135, almost 2%. The DAX down 125, almost 1%. And the CAC down 80, over 1.25%. So that gives us a mixed day in Asia. A very red day in the UK, and the Dow is the only major index in the red. However, even though the NASDAQ, the S&P, and the Russell are in the green, we gotta call it a mixed Radio Thursday here in the US of A. And speaking of Thursday, tonight is the members only workshop. So if you've been on the trial and you've not yet got your passport, now's the time to do it so that you'll get an invitation. You'll get everything you see on the screen, but you'll also get an invitation to the members only workshop tonight. So with that, we go to Michael, and he'll give us a recap of everything that happened this morning in the live training room. After that, I'll be back. We'll look at the logic alerts, the concierge trade alerts, and at any point during the broadcast, if you have a question, type it in the question box, because we'll be happy to answer it for you. Okay, Michael,
All right.
it's all yours.
All right, excellent. Here we go. Good afternoon, everyone. Today, hang on. Today is Thursday, the 19th day of May, 2022. Right, the 19th day of May, 2022. So let me just go here. All right. If you have not taken a free trial with us and you want to take a free trial with us, go here to eminitrainingschool.com. On this page, all that we ask for is your first name, your email, and your phone number. You can tell us the biggest training challenge so we can tailor one-on-one training just for you. Hit the send button and you'll be sent a confirmation link. You must click on that confirmation link. Okay, if you don't click that link, we don't know that you took the free trial. You got to click on that link, otherwise we don't know that you took the free trial. All right. So, yeah, sorry, my son just had something happen with his car. Somebody hit him. So put in your first name, your email, and your phone number. You can tell us the biggest training challenge so we can tailor one-on-one training just for you. Hit the send button, you'll be sent a confirmation link. Now, the spreadsheet. Okay, if you're going to read the spreadsheet, you got to read all the CFTC risk disclosures down at the bottom. Today is the 19th day of May, 2022. We made 73 ticks in crude, 16 ticks in gold, and 67 ticks on the ES. That put us at 1727.5 on the morning session. Today it took 3 minutes and 2 trades to get to the goal for the day. At that point, we're up $240 a contract, and we took a total of 31 trades. So on the month now, we're up $17,512. That's over 14 trading days, averaging $1,250 per contract per 2-hour trading day. We have, oops, I didn't mean to do that. Okay, we have gone 157 days since my last down day. That's business days, and we've gotten our goal for the day on 96 out of 96 possible days. That puts us at $107,263 per contract, averaging $1,117 per contract per 2-hour day. That is on the year. So far, every business day this year, we've made, on average, $1,117 per contract. That's in 2 hours in the morning session. If you were to quit trading when you got your goal for the day and you were to add 1 contract per month, you would now have only worked 13 hours on the year, and you would have averaged $2,852 per hour. Okay, $2,852 per hour. All right, so let's get into the actual trades. Now, we had a fair number of trades today. We didn't have that many on gold, so we'll just go gold, crude, ES. We'll go left to right today. Okay, I'll identify the highest probability trades as I show you them and the ones that happened during the break. All right, so we started out the morning right through here. Gold, this was not where we got the goal for the day, but we did get this right after we got the goal for the day. We got 9 ticks right here on that trade, and then we picked up a break even on this one. This one went all the way down here and came all the way back up and gave us a break even. All right, the next trade after that, this was a highest probability trade off the BBC right here. That was a nice run. We missed it. We grabbed 10 ticks off the one right after it, though. This was second highest probability trade right here. Okay, and there was another trade. Well, there was one right here that may have stopped out if it pulled all the way back down to there. It may have stopped out depending on when we got in. 35.2 down to, it may have stopped out depending on when we got in. There was a follow-up after that way over here that you could have taken for a little bit, and then another one right there that you could have taken for a little bit more. You can see it was getting up to my levels pretty well. And then the one after that, we stopped out -8 ticks. So after we stopped out, we're back down to +11. Right? We went from 9 to 19 down to 11. And then over here, this was during the break. And this is what I was suggesting it was going to do during the break. We did take, I don't think we did anything right here. Right. I think our last trade was over here where we picked up, looks like 5 ticks to get us to 16, and we had a break even there, a break even here. What I was looking for in here was there was a bounce off the BBC right here. This is the trade that had already triggered. This is the bar that I had shut everything off on, and right here I was saying it's probably going to pull down into this area, then get up to here, and then go up into this area. And it did all of that, and then it kept going. So then we had a break even after that, and in here, I think I had shut it off again, and I was thinking it was going to go down to this level down here. It was stuck in between these levels, is what I was I think I was saying. Then we had that other trade here. We picked up 5 ticks. I think got us from 11 to 16, and then right here we had a break even, and that was it. Now during the break, highest probability trades only. None. None. We did have some nice trades. There was a trade right here, a trade right here, a trade right here, a trade right here. Any one of those could have gotten you a goal for the day. And that was it. Excuse me, I had a sneezing fit. And that was it. All right, so on crude oil now, I'll go over all the trades, but I'll identify the highest probability trades that triggered uniquely. Our first trade was right here on crude. We had a break even on that. You see it went up quite a bit, came back down, got us at break even. The markets were kind of right at the very beginning. The markets were really, they weren't really committed one way or the other. All right, so we're looking for a commitment. We're looking for it to break up out of this. So I took this long trade right in here, and this is where we got the goal for the day. I picked up 24 ticks on this first trade right here on crude. That was the second trade on crude. I got 24 ticks there, and then at the same time, I got 9 ticks on gold, and then my next tick on the ES, I also got 24 ticks. So we had a bunch going on all around the same time here. Now you can see once it did that move down here in the slingshot, you see it didn't commit anywhere, up or down, and till way over here. This gave a highest probability short trade right here. You could have finally taken for a good move down. This was not a highest probability long trade because the slingshot's not right. Okay, you get in here, and then we did get a highest probability long trade right here. We didn't get one here because we didn't have step number 3, but we finally got one here off the BBC for that leg up, and we grabbed a little bit here. So that first trade was 20, the second trade was 8, so we're at 28 at that point. And then it turned around. This, if it would have hit the BBC, would have been a highest probability short right there, but it didn't. So there was still a short, but I missed it. And there was one here. We picked up another 8 ticks. It looks like it went from 28 to 36 right here. Then we went from 36 to 52. So we had a good trade there. That's what, 16 ticks, I think. Yeah, well, we had a 16 tick trade somewhere. It was either here or it was this one over here, but we had a bunch of nice trades right here. Now this, I was trying to put the dots on the chart, I think, not on this market though. I was trying to do it on the ES, and it locked everything up, and I missed all these short trades right here. I finally got into this last one where I picked up, I think we went from 36 to 52, then 52 to 56, and 56 to 64. I think that's what we had right here. 56 to 64. Then I missed another trade right there. I missed another trade right there, another trade right there. There was a trade right here too. I discussed this trade, but I didn't do it. I missed that one. I missed some really nice trades in here, but I was kind of stuck because I was trying to add an indicator and it kept hanging me up. But in here, I went from This might be where I went from 52 to 56. And over here, I went from 56 to 64, I think. Somewhere in here, I stopped out. And I went from 64 back down to 56. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I'm looking at the wrong market. Okay, let's go back. I got to start over again. Okay. I went from 24 on that first trade. Hang on. I was looking at the wrong thing. Here we go. So I went break even 24, then plus 10 got me to 34. Then this was a smaller trade here. It got me 5 ticks to 39. Then 10 ticks here to 49. Then from 49, I don't think I included this one because I went from 49 to 51. So I had a small trade somewhere. That one, I think, got me to 51. So whatever this was back here, it was 10 ticks. But it doesn't look like I added that on. Then I went from 51 to 66. This was 15 ticks. I remember that. Then I went from 66 to 73 right here. Okay. And then we get into all this stuff. That was where I ended on crude, really. I didn't add any more to it. At least I didn't put anything down. Right here, highest probability short trade right there. That was a nice trade. As we go through, there were more trades through here. But I'm just going to show you the highest probability trades right now. We had another break-even trade right there. And another break-even trade right there. That one went all the way up and came all the way back down. And I only got a break-even on it. This is the highest probability long trade right here. This is the highest probability short trade right there. Both of those worked out okay. I didn't count this, whatever that was. And then it got really choppy right through here. That was the end of the morning session. There was the highest probability long there, short here. Let's see, just the highest probability trades. It was a short here. There was a long here. Nope, that wasn't one. Sorry, take that back. And that was it, really. Okay, I didn't look at the questions. Look at those. Okay, so there are no questions yet. Right, that was crude oil. All right. So we ended on crude with plus 73. Now the ES, go back all the way to the beginning. Okay. On the ES, this was our first trade on the ES. We picked up 24 ticks on that first trade. I think we actually picked up more than that, but that's what I wrote down. Then it did give some more trades in here, but as I said, we had a bunch of trades going on at the same time. Big trades happen at the same time. So I had 24 on the ES, 24 on crude, and 9 on gold. So I was up a bunch right there, right at the very beginning in the first 10 minutes. There were some more trades through here. There was one there, one here, and even one more right down here. Then it turned around and did it give a long trade? Yeah, it gave a long trade right here. Our next trade was over here. We went from 24 to 28, then we went from 28 to 36 right here. Okay, and from 36, we had a big trade here. We went from 36 to 52. So that was another 16 ticks right there. Then there were some trades through here, but we just didn't, I didn't take them. I think this was when I was all locked up again. Then we went from 52 to 56, so it went all the way up there and came all the way down here and only got 4 ticks. And in here, this is when I had shut it down so we could do a moment in time. I was thinking if it was going to have a deep pullback, it was going to pull back to here, but I was suggesting it was going to pull back and then work its way up to this number right here. And it did do that. It pulled back and worked its way all the way up to that number. Down here at the time, right here, the slingshot was like this. The green line was above there. You can see when I turned everything back on, happened right here, right? So the green line was up here, and then I turned everything back on, and then it just filled it all in. And it dropped way down there and did everything that it should have done. We didn't have any trades right through there. Okay, we didn't start trading again until back here. Now there were some more trades in here, and let's see, I was talking through a lot of this right here, all of that I was talking. Then I stopped out in here. Let's see, I went from 28 to 36 to 52 to 56 to 64. And from 64, I went back down to 56 right here where I stopped out. Then I had this huge run all the way down here and all the way back up here. I got 4 ticks out of that, I think, right? Yeah, I went from 52 to 56 to 64, back down to 56. Then I got 6 ticks. It looks like I went back up to 62 right there. And let's see, were there trades in here? This was all in the first half hour, the first hour. Well, you know, things got kind of mixed up because I was doing an upgrade to something that I messed up an upgrade on. I did an upgrade last night and I did something wrong, so I was fixing it right through here. There was a highest probability short off the BBC right here, a highest probability long right there, highest probability short right there, all of which I missed, a highest probability short again right there, a highest probability long right there, another highest probability short right there. That would have dragged out a little while, but it worked out. Highest probability long, not there, not there, not there, not there, nowhere. So this was the next trade I took here, and I got a break even on that. And then I stopped out again, went back down to 54 right there. I got +4 to get me to 58. Then somewhere I got a break even. It went all the way down here and came all the way back up there, and I ended up with a break even on that. I got a +4 on this, went all the way down there and all the way back up here, and I ended up with just +4 to put me up to 62. And I had a break even there and +5 right there. There were some more trades all through here, but I didn't get any of them. But right here, I got a +5, and that put me at 67. Going through this, it looks like there really weren't any trades right through there. I had one more break-even trade here. I guess I ended with 67 on the morning session. Now, during the break, just the highest probability trades, there was one right here for about 8 ticks. One right here for about 6 ticks. If you let it ride, it was about 3 points. Let's see, one right here. That would have been a break even for me probably. One right here, that would have been a nice trade, about 8 or 10 ticks. That would not have been a trade. There were some nice trades that triggered in here. Second highest probability trades, third highest probability trades, but none of the highest. Right here was a highest, that would have been a break even. Another highest right here would have been a break even. And we never broke this dynamic support, did we? Did this bar do it? No. Okay, so that was it. So every highest probability trade worked out to some degree, you know, enough to get your risk off the trade. None of them stopped out, it doesn't look like, so far this morning. So let me look at this. The question, Jeff and Larry, on May 26th, that's, well, yeah, you can start it a week from today. That'll be fine, Larry. And Memorial Day is going to be off. So if you start it on the 26th, we're going to be off on the Monday, the 30th. So we'll just continue it to the 3rd. Okay, that's what we'll do for you. All right, so you get your free 5 business days in there. And Jeff, would I clarify when I take a trade into dynamic support and resistance? Okay, if they've been broken, or if the entry is below the MA1. Okay, let's look at a couple examples. Okay, we'll look at something here. I think we'll probably find something on the ES. Okay, so right here, dynamic support has not been broken. All right, an entry right here, a trend line entry is what this would have been. Okay. Now we have dynamic support here that's not been broken, but the entry is above the MA1. That makes it not a momentum trade. So you could still take that trade into dynamic support. Okay. Dynamic support resistance only come into play on momentum trades. Now, when the trade triggered again right here, this was a momentum trade going into unbroken support. So you cannot take this one. You could take this, but you can't take this because this was a momentum trade. You see, the entry was below the MA1 into unbroken support. Okay, Jeff? So dynamic support and resistance only matter when you're taking momentum trades. And then once they're broken, they don't matter at all. Okay, but once you break dynamic resistance, it should act as support. And once you break dynamic support, it should act as resistance. You see what I mean? On here, Larry, for what the question is, what's the purpose of the black step line? For the trades that we do in the room in the morning, the black step line is just to disqualify trades. Okay, it's only to disqualify trades. If it's got to be on the same side of the MA1, the same side of the BBC as the MA1. If it crosses the BBC, like right here, if it were to cross down or even beyond the BBC like this, I would not take any more long trades. All right, it's going to cross before the MA1 does every time. It's faster than the MA1. It's going to cross before the MA1. If it's on the wrong side, I would stop trading in the direction that it came from. That's what that's for. There are other trade setups where you can use it differently. There are other things that I'm going to teach partners. Another way that you could use that's really good, that is really build confidence into the trades that you take. I may do that at the partners meeting tonight. I don't know. It's another thing that I was going to build into the indicator set. For everybody that's got the indicators on DT Pro, you should go out to the indicator store. Go out here, go to the indicator store. This I just did during the last session. I just uploaded this again during the last session. If you upload this, if you right click and go to install, just like that, go to install, log off of DT Pro, log back on to DT Pro. Then in your indicator set over here, you should have a CFCFRN, a sidebar, an MA1 PB, a sidebar PB, an MA1 PB, the DMT, the elbow, the flow PB, the sentiment, one slingshot. You shouldn't have three of them. You should have one. An SR, a TC, a WTZ, and a YBR. If you have double of any of these, you need to let me know because you have too many CLIB files. That's for people who have been downloading everything all along, for years. They end up with too many CLIB files and in various places. Different versions of DT Pro would put the CLIB files in different places, but you need to do a new one. And the thing that I added was in here in the sidebar PB. When you load a chart up, I think I loaded this one. Okay, when you load a chart up, this is, oh no, not this one. Hang on, it was microcrude. Here it is. I did this morning in the room. There were two things that I added. Okay, when you load a chart up, it's going to have red and blue bars like this by default. No paint bars on there. Red bars are down closes, blue bars are up closes. When you put the sidebar on, normally what you would have to do is go out and make the color of all these bars white. Okay, you'd have to go to all active indicators, go in here, choose that, go here, make both of these white. That would make the base color of the bars white. Because then you'd have your white bar for when, the conditions need a white bar. But I coded it in now. So all you have to do is just go here and put the sidebar on. And when you put the sidebar on, you see it's got a white bar here, a flat color. And that is it. You just need to do one download, but you're going to have to apply it. Probably. Jeff, I don't know for sure. If you don't have the sidebar on your chart, you're going to have to put the sidebar on your chart. But if you just do one download and then you restart DT Pro, it should automatically reapply the new one for you. Okay, if you've already got it on your chart. And for those of you guys that are using NinjaTrader and TradingView, it's already got the white bar thing on it. DT Pro was the only one we had to go make that switch. Okay. And it's going to do one more thing. You see how these lines down here are the wrong size? Now I programmed them to go to width level 2. I programmed these to do the same thing, and I got to call in to gain for a fix on that, because that should automatically go to 2 like these are. I programmed these to be at 2, and there's also one other thing that I asked for. I asked Gain to fix this also. I'll show you what it is in here for active indicators on custom indicators. Like the SR, for instance, is one of the things that doesn't work the way it should. In here on the support resistance, these are programmed to be a point, and they're also programmed to be width of 3. But when you click Save as Default, that Save as Default thing doesn't work. So I got a ticket in for that to get fixed, and they're gonna work on that. That should be in one of the upcoming releases. And the stuff that I have coded into it, it resets all of that to the minimum settings. So like if I were to put a SR on right now, this is the way that it should work. If I click on this and I hit Save as Default, you see up here it says point, and if you look over here, the width is thicker and thicker. And I hit Close on that. Well, see, this is another problem. Just hitting Close didn't work right, but it should be saved in there now because I said Save as Default. And now if I go to Apply, CFRN, CFSR, right here, it should have those default settings in here, and it does not. See, the width is wrong, and if I make it a point, see how tiny this is? It should be this one right there. That's what I just set it as. So if I hit Save as Default again, it should set it, but it doesn't. And so I got a thing in for them to fix that, and hopefully they will. All right. So I'm sorry, I just got a little sidetracked there, but I know Dwayne doesn't mind when I get sidetracked, you know, doing important stuff. All right, so what I was looking for was this. I'm going to minimize this. I brought this chart up this morning just for an example. It's microcrude, I think. All right, so if you're going to go back to the spreadsheet, you got to read all the CFTC risk disclosures down at the bottom. Today is the 19th day of May, 2022. It made 73 ticks in crude, 16 ticks in gold, and 67 ticks on the ES. That put us at 1727.50 on the morning session. Today it took 3 minutes and 2 trades to get to the goal for the day. At that point, we're up $240 a contract, and we took a total of 31 trades. So on the month now, we're at $17,512. That's for 14 trading days, averaging $1,250 per contract per 2-hour trading day. Larry, I want to ask you one more question when I'm done with this. So we've now gone 157 consecutive days since my last negative day. We've gotten our goal on 96 out of 96 days so far this year, putting us at $107,263 a contract, averaging $1,117. Now that is every day so far this year. On average, we've made $1,117 per contract in the morning session with one contract. That's awesome. We've never done that before. All right, this volatility that we have right now, you guys gotta get in there and take advantage of it as much as you can right now. Right, every day you waste, I mean, every day you don't do it is a day. You could be making, you probably won't be making this, but you could be making something. Once you understand how, then all these numbers are. Once you learn how to be consistent and you can do this part, where you get your goal every day, then all these numbers are real to everyone. Anyway, if you were to quit trading when you got your goal for the day and you were to add one contract a month, you would now have only had to trade for 13 hours so far this year when you would have averaged $2,852 per contract. That's not per contract, that's per hour. If you haven't taken the free trial, go here to eminitrainingschool.com. On this page, all we ask for is your first name, your email, and your phone number. You can tell us the biggest trading challenge so we can tailor one-on-one training just for you. Hit that send button and we'll send you a confirmation link. You must click on the confirmation link. Okay, if you don't click that, we don't know you took the trial, so make sure you click on it. All right. That's that part of it. Larry, what platform are you going to be using when you take the trial? Because you've been watching us in here for a while now, for like a month. NinjaTrader 8. Okay. For some reason, I feel like you've already sent us your machine ID. Did you? No? Okay, well, you're going to have to send us your machine ID. And then we'll get you set up. We have a thing that we're going to be able to, by then, I think we'll have it done. I have something out being developed right now. And it'll be another feature that you get with CFRN indicators. So you can send it to us now, just so we can set it aside and be ready on the 26th. We can set you up to start, actually, so your indicators will begin on like midnight or 12:01, 26th. We can do that now, and you can get your desktop all set up. So when that day comes, you'll have your indicators on your charts, so you don't waste any time. Okay. For the new platform, what do I recommend? The easiest thing to get started with, if you're okay, that's good, Larry. You know where to find it, right? If you go to Help and About, it's the 5th line down in the Help About menu. Okay, it says Machine ID right on it. Travis, the easiest thing for us to get you started with is TradingView. Okay, because you can do that anywhere, anytime. It's web-based, it's browser-based. I mean, you can do it on your phone. That's the easiest thing to get you started with. We can do it all. We don't have to send an email out to anybody. No, you have to sign up, and then they'll send you an email for to get you started with TradingView. But here's the but part. If you want your stuff to look exactly like mine, then you're gonna have to sign up for DT Pro. Okay. I don't know what platform do you have now. Because I mean, you have E-Trade. Okay, so you don't have any of the platforms that we have. Okay. Well, that's all right. Yeah. Yep. It's got all the bells and whistles that you need. You know, NinjaTrader's got more bells and whistles. TradingView's probably got more bells and whistles, but DT Pro's got. If you want it to look exactly like mine, then go with DT Pro. Okay.
That really does help simplify the learning curve.
It does. It does. And you know, and it's free. It really is free to begin with. You get a free trial. Did you start in the morning session yesterday, Travis? I thought you started in the morning session, and I might have been a minute late, and then you logged off. Was that you yesterday that did that? I think it was. I don't know why. Okay. All right. Well, somebody whose name began with T. But somebody, you know, when we did the open house starting yesterday morning, and I was like a minute late. I started the room up early, but I was a minute late getting into it. And somebody whose name began with T, I don't remember what it was. They logged in and said, "Is anybody here?" And then they logged off and they didn't come back. You got to give me a minute. You know, I started the thing up at like 7 o'clock. But anyway, get into the trial. We have an open house going on right now. Val will probably be able to send you an email telling you how to get into it. It's get into the open house. If you're not going to take the full-blown trial right now, then don't download the DT Pro stuff yet. But you can get in there and watch what's going on in the room tomorrow if you want. Okay, and that goes for anybody that's in here who hasn't experienced the room. If you just want to get in there without downloading anything and you just want to see what's going on in the room, we're in the middle of an open house right now, and it's going to last one more day. If you send an email to support@cfrn.net and just put open house in the subject line, we'll send you the information you need to get in there tomorrow morning. It's going to start again tomorrow morning at 9:30 a.m., 9:30 to 11. You don't have to download anything. If you just want to sit in there and watch and ask questions in the morning session, you're welcome to do that. It doesn't cost you anything. No, just go to the room. Okay? All right, so again, just send an email to support@cfrn.net and just put open house in the subject line, and we'll send you the information you need to get in there. All right, and with that, I can pass it back out to fabulous Phoenix, Arizona, and Studio A overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Dwayne, if you already, wow, I really ran over my time today. Sorry about that.
No worries. Good stuff. All of it.
Okay.
Okay. Recap of the recap.
Today it took 3 minutes and 2 trades to get to $240 a contract.
Good job.
All right, thank you.
All right. Okay, guys, that's what happened the first 2 hours of the Wall Street Open this morning. Now what I'm going to show you is Logic 247. That's our round-the-clock, 24/7 E-mini alert service that includes gold, crude, silver, and the euro. The Globex markets open Sunday night at 6 p.m. Eastern, and they remain open until Friday afternoon at 5 p.m. Eastern, with a 1-hour break each day between 5 p.m. and 6 p.m. Eastern. Since the markets open Sunday night, we've issued a total of 75 logic alerts. 12 never triggered, still waiting on the results of 5. We've had 58 actionable alerts, of which 4 or 7% would have been stopped out based on not risking more than $300 per contract per trade, based on market structure and a very simple 3-step process that we teach all of our traders. And since we rolled out Logic 247 198 weeks ago, we have now issued over 10,500 individual alerts, of which most have multiple targets. You've got your entry, you've got multiple targets, and then, just like the concierge alerts, the final trade to target is always the weekly zone above on a long or the weekly zone below on a short. So that's what happened so far this week with Logic 247. And now we'll take a look at the concierge trade alerts. Now, the concierge alerts differ in a number of ways from the logic alerts. The logic alerts are based on current price action. The CTAs are based on historic price action. And when current price action meets historic price action, that's where you'll find some of your best high probability, low risk trade setups. Now, I do my best to get the CTAs out as soon as I can after the Globex open each evening. Last night it was 6:40 p.m. Eastern. There's 2 numbers for each market. Chances are you don't trade every one of these markets, but the markets you do trade, go to your 30-minute chart and make note of where price is when this report is published, because this report and these numbers are good for the entire session. And once an alert triggers, there's a greater probability of it triggering multiple times than not triggering multiple times. Using the ES as an example, when this report was published, you would make note of the current price, then draw a line in the sand at 39.97, draw a line in the sand at 38.98. Once this report is published, if price starts trending up towards 39.97, that's bullish. So our strategy will look for opportunities to be long the market. If price starts trending down towards 38.98, that's bearish. And so our strategy will look for opportunities to be short the market. In either case, that's where you'll use Logic 247, which is based on current price action, and everything you learn in the live training room every single day to yourself find opportunities to be long or short the market. Most days, in most cases, you'll be able to, once you understand the methodology, the strategy, how to read the indicators, you'll be able to get your goal for the day before you even get to the long CTA or the short CTA, whatever the case might be on that day. If you want to grab a screenshot, go ahead, and we'll take a walk through each one of these markets. Okay, got your screenshot. A couple headlines we'll touch on just briefly before we go to the charts. New York Attorney General Letitia James' office announced yesterday it is investigating social media platforms used by the suspect in the deadly Buffalo mass shooting, which authorities have called an act of domestic terrorism by an admitted white supremacist. The investigation will focus on the messaging service Discord, 4chan, and 8chan websites, along with Twitch. Now, 4chan and 8chan, they have a bad reputation, okay? That's where all the QAnon people hung out. The platform the killer used to live stream the attack was Twitch. Now, as soon as Twitch knew what he was doing, they took it down. Before allegedly murdering 10 people at a grocery store in a predominantly black neighborhood, the suspect reportedly dropped hints about his plans on 4chan and created a private chat in Discord. These social media platforms have to take responsibility, according to New York's Governor Kathy Hochul. Yeah, I agree. Somebody's got to take some responsibility. The United States has kept our southern border open and has now reopened our embassy in Kiev, which it closed just before Russia invaded Ukraine on February 24th. Anthony Blinken, our Secretary of State, a position once held by Hillary Clinton, said the Ukrainian people, with our security assistance, have defended their homeland in the face of Russia's unconscionable invasion, and as a result, the stars and stripes are flying over the embassy once again. Hours later, the Senate confirmed Bridget Brink as an ambassador to Ukraine, giving the embassy its first confirmed chief since former President Donald Trump recalled Ambassador Marie Yovanovitch in May 2019 under pressure from Rudy Giuliani and his allies. Turkey blocks talks on Finland, Sweden NATO membership. Talked about this yesterday. Turkey on Wednesday blocked NATO from starting talks on admitting Finland and Sweden hours after the two Nordic nations formally applied to join the Western Military Alliance. Turkish president objects to what he calls Sweden's sheltering of Kurdistan Workers' Party members, which Turkey considers terrorists. So you won't give us back terrorists, but you ask for NATO membership. I don't know how Turkey got NATO to start with, just to be honest. Turkey is seeking concessions before going along with the NATO expansion, which requires agreement by all 30 NATO members. So that's a big deal. Once you're accepted into NATO, for anybody else to be accepted into NATO, all members have to agree 100%. Very easy to have a hung jury there. Sweden and Finland have long held proudly to their non-aligned military status, but both decided to join NATO after nearby Russia invaded Ukraine because, for all they know, they could be next on Putin's agenda. U.S. soccer reaches an equal pay deal with men and women players. I mean, I don't know much about soccer, and I don't know a whole lot about basketball. But I know here in Phoenix we have a women's professional basketball team called the Mercury. Their top players make like $100,000, I think it is. But the Phoenix Suns, the men's team, they make millions of dollars a year with multiple year contracts. Russia says more Ukrainian fighters surrender at the Mariupol steel plant. We talked about that yesterday. Ex-police officer pleads guilty to manslaughter in George Floyd's killing. Thomas Lane, the former Minneapolis police officer who held down George Floyd's legs, pleaded guilty Wednesday to second-degree manslaughter under a deal with prosecutors. Lane, 39, is one of 3 officers accused of aiding and abetting in the killing of Floyd, who died after another former officer, Derek Chauvin, pressed a knee into the unarmed black man's neck for more than 9 minutes. The officers detained Floyd in May 2020 after a store clerk said he used a counterfeit $20 bill to buy cigarettes. Another reason to quit smoking, I guess. Under the plea deal, the state agreed to dismiss a second-degree murder charge. Defense lawyers and prosecutors jointly recommended a 36-month sentence for Floyd's death, which triggered nationwide Black Lives Matter protests. Not a surprise. The Kansas Supreme Court yesterday upheld the state's redistricting law, which was passed by Republicans and will make it harder for the only Democratic incumbent in the state's congressional delegation to win re-election. The court ruled that the voters and voting rights groups that challenged the congressional map had not prevailed in their claims that the map amounted to an overly partisan gerrymander that violates the Kansas Constitution. The decision came just ahead of the state's June 10th filing deadline for candidates running in the November congressional election. Congressional maps have faced challenges in at least 17 states as Republicans push to regain control of Congress. I hate to share this with you, but it's important. With COVID-19 infections and hospitalizations rising, areas with higher transmission risk that are home to a third of the U.S. population should consider issuing new calls for people to wear masks indoors. And I believe that means your house. New U.S. cases have risen above 100,000 a day, up 26% in the last week. This is under the administration of the man who said, "If you elect me, I will stop coronavirus." Dead in his tracks. More people have died since he became president than before he became president. Go figure. More than 22,000 people are now hospitalized with COVID-19. The Northeast and Midwest have been hit hardest, but other regions should be on alert. Prior increases of infection and different waves of infections have demonstrated that this travels across the country. That came from the trusted authority, the one we've all learned to trust, the Center for Disease Control and Prevention. And the Dow Jones Industrial Average fell 1,165 points, or 3.6% yesterday, in its worst day since 2020. The disappointing quarterly earnings report from retail giant Target fueled fears that inflation will tip the economy into a recession. The S&P 500 fell just over 4%, also its worst single-day decline since 2020. The tech-heavy NASDAQ plummeted 4.7%, its worst drop since May 5th. Stock futures fell sharply early Thursday. Target is one of the many retailers and other large companies seeing high transport and inventory costs eroding their profits. It's clear that transportation costs matter, and they're impacting some of the largest companies. So I think investors are scratching their heads going, what's next? I don't have the answer. The only answer I have is it gets worse before it can get better. Wish I had better news. And in big news, Tesla CEO Elon Musk said Wednesday he is turning away from the Democratic Party and would now vote Republican. In the past, I voted Democrat, he said, because they were mostly the kindness party. This was in a tweet. Everyone can read it. But they have become the party of division and hate. So I can no longer support them and will vote Republican going forward. Musk, the world's richest man, says he still plans to buy Twitter, once it provides data on how many of the social media platforms' accounts are fake. And Twitter don't like this because their feet are being held to the coals here. Okay? We could, if we can get to the truth, if we can get to the bottom of this, we may find out there's a whole lot more than 5% of fake accounts. I think that's a lowball number. Musk went on to say if the deal goes through, he would lift the permanent ban on former President Donald Trump, a Republican. Tesla stock fell nearly 7% on Wednesday after Musk's comments and Tesla's removal from the S&P Sustainability Index. Now, Musk said, because I've said this, they're going to come after me every way possible. He's prepared for the fight. S&P giving him the boot from the Sustainability Index. Shameful. It really is. It really, really is. In tech news, let's just blow through them. Amazon is cutting hiring targets at all of its retail businesses. The teenager who tracks Elon Musk's jet says he has now discovered Mark Zuckerberg's new aircraft. When it comes to travel and security, for Meta's CEO, the company has a record of spending big. After a month of searching, 19-year-old Jack Sweeney shared a picture of Zuckerberg's jet on Twitter. And now he can track him wherever he goes. Did you know you can say to your iPhone what aircraft is flying overhead right now? And it will tell you. Give you the flight number. True story. That's nothing new. That's been around for a long time. MasterCard customers will soon be able to make payments by smiling or waving at the checkout. The new biometric payment system is being piloted in Brazil this week and will allow customers to pay via a camera at the till without the need for a card or phone. Somehow that sounds very dangerous to me. All somebody got to do is snap a picture of you and they can now go spend your money. I got to be missing something. Google's subsidiary in Russia is set to file for bankruptcy. The subsidiary said it had become impossible for the company to pay employees and suppliers after Google paused most of its commercial operations in the country. Cerebral just replaced CEO Kyle Robertson, the company's chief medical officer, who will take the reins effective immediately. It comes after the company faces mounting scrutiny for how it prescribes controlled substances. And Gmail has a raft of hidden features that every user should know about. Did you know you can schedule emails, control who can forward messages, and even recall emails you didn't mean to send? Rather than go through the list right now, just Google 11 handy Gmail features and you can get the full list. Some of the stuff is pretty impressive. And Porsche's electric station wagon highlights one of the biggest problems with electric car charging. One of the Taycan Cross Turismo's greatest selling points is its fast charging time. But charging stations are few and far between, and ones powerful enough to fast charge are even rarer. And there was an award ceremony yesterday for companies that are most eco-friendly. Tesla wasn't on the list. Exxon was. One company creates energy from fossil fuels. The other creates energy from electricity, in some cases solar energy. They didn't make the cut, but Exxon did. That smells as stinky to you as it does to me. Well, we're on the same page. All right, let's go to these charts. S&P daily chart. S&P 500 E-mini. All right, if we break this low right here, put in on May 12th, we're officially in a bear market. Okay. Now this window of opportunity that we drew yesterday, it filled. And then initially last night when the market opened, buyers bought us up to red and falling. Okay. There's a couple indicators on my chart, and I promised one of our members that I would explain. Okay. The green line's the BBC. If price is above it, like it is here, we're bullish and we anticipate higher prices. But once price drops below it, we're bearish and we anticipate lower prices. BBC, bull, bear, cross. Bullish, bearish. Okay? And you'll notice, of course, the pullback to the BBC holds more often than it doesn't. Now, the other red and blue line, the official technical name is the CFMA1. I call it blue and climbing. As you can see, price climbs when you've got blue and climbing. And when blue and climbing rolls over and turns into red and falling, or RNF, on the discussion group, I refer to it usually as B and C, blue and climbing, R and F, red and falling. Now, red and falling represents resistance, where blue and climbing represents support. You'll notice over here we had red and falling, but it hooked around and became blue and climbing. And price climbed the back of blue and climbing all the way to the high put in on March 29th. And then as price pulled back to the BBC, blue and climbing hooked over, turned into red and falling. We know that's resistance, and so down we go. So no matter what market or time frame you're on, if you've got red and falling in the picture, you should be thinking short. You got to be below the BBC and have red and falling. If you're above the BBC, then you should be thinking about buying if you also have blue and climbing. Now, that can there's a slight nuance here. When red and falling gets directly below price, as it did yesterday, it could be a potential support, but we traveled through it. But now it's behaving as we normally anticipate. Price rallied up to red and falling, found resistance. That's what we anticipate. And now it looks like the window may want to close again. Okay? That was a nice window of opportunity we drew on the show yesterday. So even those who aren't members had an opportunity to take advantage of that move. I said all you got to do is look for a break of the low of the Wednesday candle. And on Thursday, and Thursday began last night at 6 p.m. Eastern, shorted down to support at the swing low of May 12th. Trading's not easy, but man, have we worked hard over the years to do our very best to make it simple. While other companies try to make it complicated, because the more complicated something is, the more solutions you can be sold to solve it. Our theory is just to teach you how to understand how price flows across all markets and all time frames. And the underlying principle upon which markets operate, every market, every time frame, price flows from support to resistance, back to support, back to resistance, over and over, again and again. It's a never-ending cycle. It's been in existence since the inception of the markets. It will remain until the markets cease to exist. So our strategy is never to outfox, outrun, outsmart, outdistance what the market's doing. Our indicators and our strategy are designed to help you clearly see what the big money, the institutional traders are trying to do, and then we simply want to do the same thing. We just want to ride their coattails until we get our goal for the day, and then have the self-discipline to put our mouse away. How many days have you had an incredible morning? I'm up X or Y or Z. And by the time the market closes, you're in a fetal position under your desk. I know, if I speak like someone who really understands that, I do, because, well, that was me. I'll never forget the first time, right after I started trading futures. I was trading above my weight class. I was brand new at the business of trading futures. Now, most of the year here in Phoenix, the market opens at 6:30 a.m. That's 9:30 a.m. Eastern. So I got up early. This was when I still had an office to go to in the old historic church downtown. I got there. I was at the opening bell. And within the first 15 minutes of the market being open, I was trading the Russell back when it paid $100 a point. I had made $5,000. I had never in my life made $5,000 in 15 minutes. So I took a break. I went outside to steady my nerves, to do a little praying. And then I proceeded to tell God what I was going to do with all this money He was helping me make. That's not how it works either. I went back inside, sat down, and when the closing bell rang on that faithful day, now remember, the first 15 minutes of Wall Street, I made $5,000. When the closing bell rang on Wall Street, I was deeply in the red. I can't say this enough. Set a goal, whether it's the 2 points we teach in the live training room or whatever's appropriate for you and your account size. I have some traders that just would take 1 point a day out of the market with multiple contracts. And they're very happy. It meets their income needs and then some. So the 2 points that we talk about are the equivalent, the 2 points in the S&P are the equivalent thereof in other markets. Okay, that's a guideline. But when you become a passport holder, along with all the other stuff, is you're going to get a 24/20 blueprint designed to help you go from 1 to 20 contracts over a period of 24 months. Because you see, 2 points in the S&P with one contract, it pays $100. But by the time you've earned the right, per the blueprint, to trade 5 contracts, the same 2 points are worth $500. And once you've earned the right to trade 10 contracts, one at a time, okay, that's $1,000. 2 points, $1,000. If you can average that on a daily basis over the course of a year, that puts you in the top 3% of wage earners worldwide. Now, the big warning here is just because you got some money put away, don't dive in and go live right away and start trading 10 contracts. Does that sound like someone who had, yeah, I resemble that remark, okay? When you become a passport holder, whatever you've been trying in the past has obviously not worked out because you're looking for something that will work for you. So, as humbling as it is, trade in the simulator until you put together 10 consecutive days in a row where you reach your goal in 10 trades or less. Then the blueprint's going to give you the green light to go live with one contract. Only one. Now your goal is to increase your account balance by $2,000. Once you do that, the blueprint will give you the green light to add a second contract. The big difference between the first and second contract is the first contract is funded with startup capital. The second contract is funded with profit you earned in the market. When it's time to add number 3, number 4, number 5, number 10, you only add one at a time, and you only add with profit you earned in the market. And if you don't have the profit to add an additional contract, then don't add the contract. Book a mentoring session, get things straightened out and squared away. Now, what we offer is so uniquely different than everything else out there. I laugh sometimes as I go through some of these websites and I see, well, we've been around since 2005, and I go to these websites and I see so many things that are so similar to what we do. But let me tell you, what these other people don't do is they don't put a live instructor in front of you 2 hours a day, putting on, taking off trades in 5 markets, explaining every move they make, every trade they take, and the rule behind it. Plus answering your questions while you trade along in the simulator until you qualify to go live, and then you can still trade along with the trainer in the training room, but now you're trading real money, okay? Our goal with the alerts is not to just give you alerts so you can make money and, put trader on your business card. We want you to learn how to see the markets the way we see them, to understand them the way we understand them. So that if we were to drop off the face of the earth, in God's time, it wouldn't affect you because you've learned how to read the chart. You've learned how to read price action. You know how to read the indicators. You understand what the next high probability move is. Once you've been with us a couple weeks, you've been through some training, some private mentoring sessions, you should be able to look at any 30-minute chart of any market and know with a high degree of probability what the next high probability move is. And this morning we were at a point where I posted a chart in the discussion group where I said my next high probability move is to wait. Because the market was at a point where it could go either way. We had support on the 30-minute chart. We had resistance on the daily chart. I'm in no rush. I got all day. Now, that's a luxury that some of us have. We have all day to commit to our trading. But yet we'll probably make our goal for the day in 2 to 5 minutes. So we have to have the patience and self-discipline to wait for the market to provide the opportunity for high probability, low risk trading. We call it a window of opportunity. Now, everything I just said and explained about the daily S&P chart also applies to a 1-minute crude chart, a weekly Bitcoin chart, a monthly Forex pair, because price flows the same across all markets and all time frames. Now, other organizations don't give you a teacher live in an interactive environment 2 hours a day. They also don't give you around the clock 24/7 support. You know, when it's 8, 9, 10 o'clock my time, my phone's going off. And my wife's looking at me like, really? I said, hey honey, these are my people. They need me. They're showing me charts going, hey Dwayne, I'm thinking about going long here. I'm thinking about going short here. What's your thoughts? Okay. And if they send me a screenshot of the chart they're looking at, then I reply and give an answer. Or I come upstairs to my office and look at my charts and give them an answer. And if I don't reply, it means that I'm in a position or place or asleep where I can't respond. But if I can, I always will. Who out there gives you around the clock 24/7 support? And because we have traders around the world, our day session is their night session and vice versa. And because we all trade the same method, the same strategy, with the same indicators, if I'm sleeping, chances are we got somebody on the other side of the pond lurking out there that if you ask a question in the members discussion group, somebody will fire you back an answer based on their understanding of how markets work. We teach everybody the same thing. We provide everybody with the same indicators. It's all you need. Anything else is just stuff. I see people with charts that got so much stuff on them. They resemble my charts back in 2006. Okay? Michael and I owned every indicator and oscillator on the planet, and we ran out of stuff to buy. We started rolling our own. But we finally realized that more was not necessarily better. In fact, we learned that less was better. And the more we peeled away, the more we got down to the basic flow of price, how price flows, the better things got for us. So, we've worked hard to make things simple. Now, along with the blueprint where you write your business plan and your trading plan, and that business plan, you're going to write down your daily goal. The trading plan is about how you're going to reach your daily goal. Okay? That's part of the process where you're doing that while you're qualifying to go live. Okay, so we're going to keep you busy. Even though you have around-the-clock support via Telegram and 2 hours with a live instructor every day, you also have unlimited one-on-one mentoring. The methodology we teach you, the indicators we provide, work on futures, stocks, crypto, forex, options. As a passport holder, you receive the alerts around the clock, 24/7. The logic alerts, you receive the concierge trade alert static report, which is forward guidance for the entire session. And you have access to the Thursday night members only workshop, which happens tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern. So members, please have your questions ready, okay? So that we can open with prayer and dive right in and get any questions you have answered. The passport is lifetime. It never expires. It gives you everything a trader needs, all under one roof, at one low price, without ever having to spend another dime on shiny stuff. All of this is yours. Now, our cost, when Michael and I decided that we wanted to provide an environment where people could actually learn how to trade, part of that was making it affordable. The entire CFRN experience, lifetime, never expires, $5,000. To be exact, $49.97. Many self-proclaimed gurus will charge you that much for an hour of their time. And if you have a question tomorrow, well, then you're going to cut another check. Not with us. We're there to help you to the very best of our ability, around the clock, whenever you need help. You can reach out to us in the group discussion on Telegram. You can private message us on Telegram, book a mentoring session, show up for class. You're surrounded by people who are on the same team. There's no competition. There's no, I'm better than you are, or look what I did. No, we're all on the same team. And I never cease to be amazed at how our guys, our traders who've learned our method, learned our strategy, stood in your shoes, are so willing to reach out and help the next newcomer. It's really an amazing, amazing experience. And if you want to be a part of that experience, you just go to eminifuturestrading.com. If you have questions, call Valerie, 949-42-EMINI, or send an email to support@cfrn.net. Okay, here's where we are on the daily, still fighting that battle between buyers and sellers. Let's go to the 30-minute chart of the S&P. We've been trapped between these two zones since the market opened last night. We did trigger the short CTA at 38.98, and unusually it triggered once and ran all the way to the target, to 38.63. So that's going to be 15 points at $50 a point per contract traded. Now, I learned my times table like everybody else, but we didn't do the 15 times tables. 15 times 50, $750 per contract traded, from the published entry to the published target. Now you might say, well, what about this? Great question. As I explained earlier, when red and falling gets directly, see how red and falling walk price all the way down? But once red and falling gets directly below price, it's telling you that it's on its way to turning into blue and climbing. And so this red and falling, which led you down, is now pointing out that you probably shouldn't go short here, because the potential for red and falling, once it's directly below price, is real good. And look what happened. We hit red and falling, bounced right back to the VBC, pull back holds more often than it doesn't. And then as we got below blue and climbing, look how blue, right here, red and falling became blue and climbing became red and falling, which gave us the trade I just discussed. Okay. And then we got back above the trigger, but we had blue and climbing below us, potential support. Back above the trigger, but same issue. Back above the trigger, same issue. Back above the trigger. Now, this time, on this trigger, we've actually gotten below blue and climbing. So, some of our more experienced traders might have still taken this opportunity using their smaller time frame to execute on. But as long as there's blue and climbing in the picture, I'm going to stay away from being short. But this is a personal preference here. It doesn't violate any rules per se, because as a discretionary trader in the live training room, you're learning a mechanical model. There's a rule for everything. With discretionary trading, there's a lot of personal preferences, okay? And you're only going to develop that over time. The longer you stay in the pool, the better swimmer you become. So that's the S&P. Let's go to the Dow. On the Dow, see how price came down, right? We had red and falling, support, became blue and climbing. Right up to the VBC, the pullback held. It holds more often than it doesn't. And then we trigger at 31,255, putting in a low at 39.55. So it'd be 125, about 160 points at $5 a point. I did the math right in my head. This pullback to the VBC did not quite get us above the trigger, but we dropped right to blue and climbing where the market found support and walked price right back up to the weekly zone. Only three things happen at a weekly zone. The most likely is consolidation. That's what you'll see about 80% of the time. Second most likely is rejection. Rejection is when this big green candle raced all the way up to the weekly zone, but by the time the 30-minute candle closed, it closed red. Now, these zones are given to our members Monday morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern. Here it is Thursday. Here it is Wednesday, support. And the Thursday session began last night, support. And then we finally break through that support, and it becomes resistance. We've published these zones since December 14th of 2009. We've got well over a decade of data that tells us how price is most likely to respond when it encounters a weekly zone. And once the zones are published on Monday, they're carved in stone for the entire week. We don't change them, massage them, manipulate them. And watching how price behaves around the zones. Once you really get used to it and understand it, you can't help but put a smile on your face. Okay? And so we're still battling here, right? We got a weekly zone overhead. We got blue and climbing below. On the daily chart, price was trying to refill the window. It may still fill the window a second time. okay? But we got a red candle. We found resistance at red and falling on the daily. So sellers have the ball in the big picture that institutional traders watch. Doesn't mean we couldn't take a long trade, okay? We get above the BBC, we get above this potential resistance. We could go long 39.15, trade it up to 39.22, 7 points, $50 a point, $350 per contract traded. But right now, blue and climbing, because it's directly above price, it's potential resistance. You gotta overcome the resistance. And then this high is potential resistance, so you're trading that little area right there. And if we break through this swing high, then these two swing highs are potential resistance. That gives you another little window. And then if you take out that high, you got a little window right here. Trading's not easy, but it can be simple. Look where the S&P found support at a zone that was given to our members Monday morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern. On to the Dow. Okay, the short side on the Dow was 31,255. Obviously, we had no trigger on the long side. We dropped through 31,255 and we dropped to 3,100. We dropped a little further. But from 125 to 3,100 to 125 points at $5 a point. 100 points at $5 a point is $500 per contract traded. Then we pull up to the BBC, but we don't get above the trigger. We come back down. There's blue and climbing. And even though we spike it, it stays blue and price continues to rise. This process doesn't change from day to day. We don't whip out new indicators or oscillators because today's this kind of day or that kind of day. It doesn't matter what kind of day it is. Price flows the same across all markets and all time frames. So many traders, one of their biggest mistakes is every time they step up to the plate, they change their swing. Well, this didn't work yesterday, so I'm going to try this today. Stop. Learn to read the chart. Learn to read price action. Learn to read the indicators. Understand the importance of the weekly zones. And the market does the exact same thing every day in a slightly different way. And so we, with our strategy and our indicators, we become the constant integer in the equation. We don't change. Whatever the market throws at us, we trade it the exact same way. Our rules don't change from day to day. Our indicators don't change from day to day. In fact, we haven't really changed anything since 2008. Michael gave the candle some color for you guys a while back to make it easier to spot the setups. That's about it. The underlying principle never changed. And it never will. Oh, you're going to love this. 1883, which was the beginning of the origin story of Yellowstone. I told you, one of our listeners told us the other day that the next part of the origin story was going to be, I think, called 1932. I could be wrong. But guess who stars in it? Go on, guess. Harrison Ford. and somebody else really famous. I forget. Sorry, I'm getting older. I can't wait for that to drop. I know I probably watch a little too much TV. Okay? But I am selective with what I watch. And Yellowstone is good TV. 1883, the beginning of the origin story of how Yellowstone came to be. Good TV. I have no doubt the next part of the origin story that drops is going to be equally well. Now, what really surprised me about 1883, it was produced by MTV. Remember when we were kids and they were telling us to rock the vote and music videos first became a thing, and Michael Jackson was doing Thriller and Madonna was doing whatever she was doing? Remember when MTV first came to the cable lineup? That was like a huge deal. I guess they still do music videos, but they also have a lot of reality shows. Stuff like Catfish and Teen Mom, and that's stuff I let my kids watch. Well, my son's a man now. He's turning 20. He just turned 20. My daughter, she's about to turn 15. So I still have some say there. And we watch a lot of stuff together, but I make sure it's stuff that's going to possibly help her to become a better person. Okay? No filthy garbage, no, gratuitous sex, no excessive foul language. I mean, we know there's a real world out there and people do use foul language. Now, if a curse word pops up occasionally in a show or a movie, but if it's the backbeat of the entire show or movie, we don't want she doesn't want any part of it. In fact, I don't know if you know this, maybe you have a teenage daughter or granddaughter, but there are some popular rap songs out there that actually have a positive message, but they use some foul language. On YouTube, you can find the clean version of that song. Same song, same lyrics, same message, with the profanity removed. And my daughter, God bless her soul, she opts for the clean version every time. Daddy, I don't want to listen to that. Makes me feel good. Okay, moving on. We've only made it to the Dow. Good Lord, we got to get moving. All right, S&P Dow. Next is the Russell. Here's what happened on the Russell. The Russell triggered 1766, but it had balloon climbing below, which, as we've discussed, represents support. Our more experienced traders might have still traded it. It offered up almost 5 points before support kicked in. And then it got back above the trigger, dropped again, right into support. If you're new, leave these alone. If you're more experienced, been with us a while, then you know you can clip a couple points out of here before you hit support. See, the chart tells you the indicators are dynamic support and resistance, while the weekly zones are fixed support and resistance. And only 3 things happen in a zone: consolidation, 80%, rejection, 20%. And I know that already adds up to 100. 10% of the time, the slice. The slice is when a candle like this slices through a zone like it's not even there. When it runs out of steam, it typically comes back to the zone it sliced through and then continues in the direction of the slice. Over and over again and again, day after day. Now here, this is a nice clean trigger because you got red and falling, okay? And so from the trigger at 1766, we went right to the published target. From the published entry to the published target. From 66 to 46. That's 20 points, $50 a point. That's $1,000 per contract traded. Simply selling at the trigger and taking profit at the target. Is it always that simple? No. Trading's not easy, but it can be simple. So then we pull back up to the BBC, which we expect to be resistance, and it was. And so we come back down to support at blue and climbing. Blue and climbing takes us above the BBC. We just barely take out these highs, and then this is the 9:30 opening candle. Okay, now trading the first 30 minutes is a personal preference. Michael and Valerie hit the ground running at 9:30 without a second thought. I always set out the first 30 minutes. I don't trade. I don't put out alerts. Now, some people say the first 30 minutes is where the professionals trade. Others say it's where the clowns trade. I try not to be judgmental, okay? I just know I have the preference to wait. Because once that wildness of the first 30 minutes is over, prices will typically tame down and give you something like this. Now, I kept showing charts in the discussion group this morning. We needed to break this high before we could really anticipate higher prices. 1784, and we've put in a high so far, 1794 is 10 points. $500 per contract traded. Price came. We didn't get back below the trigger here, but we pulled back to the zone, and when price drops to a zone, we expect support. When price rises to a zone, see how we had support here, resistance here, that resistance became this support, and now the market is still trying to climb. But if we go back to our bellwether, where are we? You see, until the S&P can break above red and falling on the daily chart, the other indices probably aren't going to do much to the upside. The S&P 500. Again, my first guru taught me that term, bellwether. In other words, basically whatever the S&P does, eventually the other indices are going to follow suit. Sometimes they'll run ahead, sometimes they'll lag behind, but at the end of the day, end of the week, they've done basically the same thing. Now, important to note, we've got a double bottom here, okay? So I can see some strength there. Now, I need a lot more to convince me, like I need to see price get above red and falling, and I got a window of opportunity up to a counter trend window on the daily, up to the step line, and then up to the 24% reverse fib, and then up to the daily BBC, which is at yesterday's high. All right, NQ. Support, resistance. Not magic, not voodoo. These zones were given to all our members Monday morning, 6:15 a.m. Eastern. And here it is Thursday. How is that even possible? It's a God-given gift. The good news is, as a passport holder, you too will get the zones every Monday morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern. And when I decide to retire, my golden parachute is I'm going to fill a stadium with people and teach them how I create the zones. It was God's gift to me, and it's going to be God's gift to you. And part of God's gift to me with the zones was that I would have, when you're self-employed, it's hard to build a retirement fund. You know, you don't get the typical 401k and blah, blah, blah. So he downloaded all of that into me one Sunday afternoon as I was sitting here staring at the charts, waiting for them to open. But enough of that. Moving on. From support to resistance, back to the BBC, which we expect to be support. See, initially it was resistance, which gave us a leg to the downside, but then it closed above the BBC. It took us right up to the zone resistance. We pulled back to the BBC. Now, if price can get above, I see blue and climbing is directly above this candle. So while it supported the move up, now that it's hooked over, the step line is crossed over, the window of opportunity is up here. Okay? 12,000 up to 12,025. That's 25 points at $20 a point. It's $500 per contract traded. And then there's still room to run on the upside. But so far, this zone has served as resistance. Crude oil, we are on the N contract now. N is in Nancy. All right. The vertical line, of course, separates today, Thursday, from yesterday, Wednesday. Here's the open. We came down through blue and climbing. Actually, it had turned to red and falling. And from 105.70, we dropped to 105.10. $600 per contract traded. And then we ran up. We got above the zone. And then we retraced. We got back below the BBC, blue and climbing, turned to red and falling. That's what we want on our short trades. And so from the trigger, the published trigger to the published target, 105.70 to 104.50, that's $1,200 per contract traded. Right there. $1,200 per contract traded over the course of an hour. And then price got back above the trigger, and it dropped to the target again, another $1,200 per contract traded. And it kept going. Our experienced traders know how to handle this. Then we get back above the BBC. Now this bearish cross, just pointed out, I haven't pointed one of these out today. When you have a bearish cross that leads to an extended move, the first time price revisits that area, it's almost always going to be good resistance. The opposite is true of a bullish cross. And so you see how this was a big green candle all the way up, but it hit that area where the bearish cross took place, and it backed off. Backed off from 107.40 down to, we'll call it a $400 per contract retracement. And then the second time we made it through. These highs were thwarted by these highs. We finally broke through And now we're actually, after we had all of these nice 1, 2, 3 triggers on the short side, now we're getting a nice trigger on the long side. 109.40 has made it up to 109.60 so far, so $200 per contract traded so far. But keep an eye out. Now, I had made a comment in the discussion group that I thought the high for the day on crude was already in. I was wrong. Okay? I thought price was going to stall here and reverse. It didn't. Kept going. When I'm not right, I'm not ashamed. I know, based on the last 10,000, over 500 individual Logic 247 alerts, 20% of the time the market's going to do something other than the next logical high probability move. Why? Because the institutional traders control the order flow. Now you and I, even if you're up to 10 contracts, if you're up to 20 contracts, you don't move the market. The institutions that come in with 100, 200 contracts, they move the markets. And when one institution sees what the other institution's doing, guess what? They do the same. Fuel on the fire, whether it's to the upside or the downside. So, since we know we can't move the market, our purpose is to understand what the institutional traders are looking at, thinking about, and then just do the same. Just ride their coattails till we get our goal for the day, then have the self-discipline to put our mouse away. Now, you might have originally written your business plan to say that your goal was 100 a day. Part of your business plan should say that I will revisit my business plan every 3 months, 6 months, whatever number you want, to determine if I need to adjust anything in my trading plan. Okay? So, I mean, if you've gotten super good at getting 2 points a day every day out of the market, you might want to up that. Build it into your plan and then follow the plan. Okay, let's go to gold. We triggered on the long side, not on the short side. Here's the open last night. We came right down to the zone, found support. Had a zone given out 4 days ago. We trigger 1818, and we hit the target at 1824. That would be $600 per contract traded. But price didn't stop there. It spiked the zone, pulled back, and then it kept following blue and climbing all the way to the next zone. Now look what's happening. Blue and climbing, okay? When the step line, there was a question earlier about how do you use the step line. On the 30-minute chart, we use it a little bit differently, okay? As long as on a long trade, as long as the step line is on the left side of blue and climbing, there's no reason to get out of the trade. Only when the step line crosses to the right side of blue and climbing, and then a candle closes below the step line, that becomes the official exit signal. Because what the chart's telling you is that price is probably going to pull back to the BBC, which, if it does, we expect it to be good support, and we expect it to give us another leg to the upside. Silver. Wait. Yeah, I already gave you that number on that. Okay. Silver. On the short side, we came right down to the CDA and got rejected. Price behaves around CTAs often like it behaves around the weekly trading zone because it's an important price, important area. Came right down to it and got rejected. Okay. So then we come back up to the zone where we find resistance. That resistance sent us looking for support, which we found at Blue and Climbing and the BBC. And so we trigger on the long side at 21.59, and that trigger takes us from 21.59 all the way up to 22 bucks. A little more, we'll call it 22 bucks. So that's 40 pennies. 2 pennies is 100 bucks. That's a $2,000 per contract move. And looks like the market wants to go higher, so if we take out this swing high, this is fertile trading territory up here. Now yesterday, we even going back 2 days, this area has not filled. Still hasn't filled. Okay? So we'll see if this fills today. And our final market. Okay, here's the open last night. Run up to the BBC. We hit the long trigger, and from 120, it takes us up to 170. That's only 50 ticks. 100 ticks is $125 per contract traded. Then we got back below the trigger and ran up to 170 again. So that's, again, 50 ticks. 100 ticks is $125 per contract traded. Then we pull back to the weekly zone where we find support, just like we did here. Support. That launches us again up to 105, 190 at 70 points. That's about $100 per contract traded. And then we get back below the trigger and we go from the trigger to the target. From 120 to 620. That's 500 ticks times $125. 5 times 125. $625 per contract traded. That sound about right? Sounds right. And then it kept going. But you see how we hit the zone and we retraced, we consolidated, and we took off again. Now I do believe we had some logic alerts that covered these areas. And as we wrap this up, we've gone through all the markets. We're back to the daily chart. One thing I haven't showed you all week, and I'll show you real quick, is how we ended up for the week last week. I usually do that on Monday, and I forgot. So let me scroll up. Okay. Here's how Logic 247 ended last week for the entire week. We had a total of 88 alerts issued, 23 never triggered, 2 carried over to this week. We had 63 actionable alerts, of which 11, or 17%, would have been stopped out based on not risking more than $300 per contract per trade, less when possible, based on market structure and the simple 3-step process we teach all of our traders. Now, I think the most we ever issued in a week was 100 alerts. We're in week 198 now. And once the week is over, this all becomes public data, available to everybody. And of course, it's available to you when you're on the trial. So far this week, we're at 10,561. That's how many alerts we've issued. I think I'm getting my point very good there. Started the week out at alert number 45, 46, 47. So, and these first two are carryovers. 485 to 561. Minus 485 equals. So we had 76 alerts so far this week on Logic 247. Now remember, those are based on current price action. And to back that up are the CTAs, which we just went through, which is historic price action. And when historic meets current price action, that's where you'll find your best high probability, low risk trade opportunities. So we really do give you everything a trader needs, all under one roof, at one extraordinarily low price. You don't ever have to pay us another dime, because membership with us is for life. Let's wrap it up with our good word for the day. Yesterday we talked about mothers because we couldn't talk about it on Mother's Day because Mother's Day was Sunday. Fell on a Sunday. Today we're going to talk about the smell of sin. Now, smells play a very important role in our life. You can smell something and it will trigger. You know, let's say as a child you were abused by somebody who wore Old Spice. Now I'm just pulling something out of the air here. Boy or girl, you were abused by somebody that wore Old Spice. And so, fast forward 20, 30 years, you go into a store and the person standing next to you is wearing Old Spice. You could go into full-on meltdown. Hopefully, you don't. But it can happen. The olfactory senses are very powerful. I say that because we're going to talk about the smell of sin. How many times have you know, there's some guy at the gas station, he's got his hand out for spare change. At the price of gas today, we don't have any spare change left to give, but maybe you do walk over to him and try to talk to him for a minute, or offer to pray with him, or buy him some food. The smell of the road is on him. The fact that he hasn't lived in a home with hot water in a shower for a while. You don't just see it with your eyes. It attacks all of your senses. And it should make your heart break. Because it's not God's desire that any man should perish. Now, Just because a person's homeless doesn't mean they're going to perish, doesn't mean they don't believe in God, but they're not living in a godly environment. They're not surrounded with godly people. And those are things we've talked about in the past. If you're going to live the Christian life, you need to surround yourself with fellow believers. Now, I know that those of you who watch on YouTube wonder if I'm ever going to shave this beard or have I joined some wacky cult. I just might have an appointment with a very special beard specialist this weekend. All right. Corinthians, 2:15. Our lives are a Christ-like fragrance, rising up to God. 2 Corinthians 2:15. When food in your fridge goes bad, you know it the moment you open the door. Now, sometimes you don't even have to open the door. And your life is like that. When there's something wrong inside, the people who come in contact with you often sense it. Jesus spoke some of his harshest words to Peter. Get behind me, Satan. You are not mindful of the things of God, but the things of men. That's recorded in Matthew 16:23. So what was Peter's pride? Or what was Peter's sin? Oops, spoiler alert. Pride. See what I did? Spoil alert. Bad food in the fridge. Never mind. He openly contradicted Jesus. There are sins of the spirit and sins of the flesh. Peter's was a sin of the spirit. David's actions of adultery and murder were sins of the flesh. Later, David wrote in Psalm 19:12, "Cleanse me from secret faults. Keep back your servant also from presumptuous sins. Let them not have dominion over me." Now, God doesn't want you to become self-absorbed and introspective to the point where you live in condemnation. But he does want you to be sensitive to sin and deal with it immediately. Scripture gives us 3 ways to stay clean in a spiritually polluted world. Number 1, walking in the light. You can read about that in 1 John 1:7. What that means is striving to be honest before God and man. Number 2, being accountable. That can mean having someone in your life who is mature enough to deserve your confidence, gracious enough to put up with your inconsistencies, and honest enough to call you on your BS when you're BSing them. We all need that person in our life. You can read about that in Ecclesiastes 4:9. And number 3, dealing with your sin right away. Psalm 32:3. The moment that brings consciousness of sin should immediately lead to confession of sin, resulting in cleansing of sin. Then you must get back up and go on with God. You see, we can commit adultery without ever laying our hand on a woman. Or for you ladies, laying your hands on a man. Jesus said, if you thought it, if you felt it in your heart, it's the same as doing it. He said that about adultery. He said that about murder. So the moment the thought comes, take it captive. Cast it down from the pit of hell from which it came, and move on with your life. The moment that brings consciousness of sin should lead to confession of sin, resulting in the cleansing of sin. Then you get back up, dust yourself off, and go on with God. And that's a good word for the day. Thanks so much for tuning in. Whoever you are, wherever you are, may God continue to richly bless you with His mercy and with His grace. And I'll see you at the bell.
Remember this, there is no greater return on investment than to see a human life changed and given hope. As always, pray hard and trade safe. Any financial information discussed on this show is simply the opinion of our host, Dwayne Reeves, his co-hosts, and guests. To learn more about trading E-mini futures or to take a 1-week free trial in our live trading room, call 1-866-928-3310. 866-928-3310. Information discussed on this radio program should not be construed as a recommendation to buy or sell any security. Always do your own due diligence and consult with a licensed securities broker or financial planner before making any investment decision.